The 5 do-yous to greenlight your retirement. That's right. If you can give a thumbs up and say yes to each of these 5 key areas, you're well on your way to a long and stress-free retirement. But retirement is not something you can figure out along the way. Yeah, trial and error here is not your friend. So think back when you were learning to ride a bike. Yeah, you'd throw your leg over the seat and then you'd pedal real hard, and all of a sudden you're in the grass with a scraped knee. And then you try again, pedal real hard, and you have a bumped elbow. And over time, with those wounds as proof, you eventually figured it out, and now you ride like the wind. Well, if you treat retirement like you treated learning to ride a bike, you're in big trouble. That's because retirement is one of those things you have to get right the first time. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 5 key things to consider to make sure you have a long and dignified retirement so that you ride that retirement cycle like the wind. But first, hey, if you're between age 50 and age 70 and you're seriously considering retirement, will you hit the subscribe button and the like button down below? It helps me and it helps YouTube target this video for folks who are seriously considering retirement in the near future. Cool, thank you. So here we are. The first big do you have a plan for health insurance? So if you're younger than age 65, you have a big consideration because Medicare does not kick in until age 65. So unless you're one of the lucky ones that has an employer health insurance that covers early retirees, you're probably looking at healthcare.gov for health insurance in those early retirement years. So healthcare.gov, there could be some major planning opportunities here. That's right. In other words, if your income is low enough, you could actually qualify for a federal subsidy to help offset or completely pay for the cost of that health insurance those early years in retirement. So what does that look like? Well, according to this chart here in 2023, if your income as a married couple is less than about $73,000, you would actually qualify for federal subsidies to be able to help offset the cost of some of that health insurance. So what that means is actually, surprisingly, this is an income test, not an asset test. Meaning, if you structured your income in those early years in retirement to hold your taxable income down, you could actually qualify even if you have a bunch of money. Yeah, I've seen situations where clients and folks have millions and millions of dollars, but maybe they're living off the cash that they've accumulated and their income is actually really low, so they would qualify for some of these federal subsidies. Thoughtful. Okay, so that's before age 65. So maybe after 65, there's no more planning to be done. That is not the case. So once you do turn 65, your income actually then counts even more. So here we see in 2023, if you're married filing jointly, your income is above about $194,000, your premiums go up. And then if your income continues to rise here, it goes up and up and up. And eventually, if your income is above $750,000, you could be paying an extra $560 a month. Plus the Part D extra premiums of another $76 per month per person. So those extra premiums could amount to over $7,500 each. So if you're married, $15,000 of extra Medicare premiums. Ouch. Really, that's overinflating Medicare premiums. It almost feels like it might pop, like your retirement tire might pop, and all of a sudden you don't have a retirement, you have a popped tirement. We don't want to pay an extra $15,000 for Medicare premiums. Let's not pop that tire. So the second big do you have enough saved to weather the ups and downs in the market? That's right, because you might be retired for 30 or even 40 years living off this investment. So do you have enough saved? Well, a good rule of thumb here, the Motley Fool says you can take out about, if you're conservative, between 4 or even 3.5% of your investments per year. Or if you have a moderate level of risk, maybe 4.5 or even 5%. So I'm going to round and say maybe between 4 and 5% is a reasonable withdrawal rate. What that means is, let's say you have $1 million saved, you can roughly take out between $40,000 and $50,000 every year, and you can expect over time for your investment to kind of stay there, and you're really only living off the dividends and the interest. So if you want to be conservative, maybe 4%, more aggressive, maybe 5%. So if you have $2 million, double that, 80 to 100, and you can kind of do the math for your own situation. But make sure if you're taking 7, 8, 10% per year off of your investments, those kind of flash warning signs, and you need a better plan for how to make sure you don't run out of money over time. So the third big do you have a paid for house? That's right. Is your home paid off, or at least do you have a plan to pay it off in the next 5 years? That is huge because of cash flow planning. Here's an article for Forbes that says roughly 19% of homeowners who are 65 are still saddled with a mortgage. Well, mortgage is an old French phrase that translates to death pledge. Ouch. So let's go ahead and pay off that death pledge before it's too late. Have a plan for how to get the mortgage out of your retirement. So the fourth big do you have a plan for Social Security? That's right. Don't just ride your bike down to the Social Security office and sign up and say, hey, do you have an extra order of fries with that? So make sure you have a plan for Social Security, especially if you're married. Yeah, if it's you and a spouse, don't just consider yourself here. Make sure you're planning for both of you to make sure you maximize all of what you're going to get out of the Social Security system. That's right. The big thing to think about here is the higher income earner of the two, their benefit is generally going to last not just their life, but also the life of their spouse. So it may make sense to consider delaying Social Security, especially for the higher income earner. And turning on Social Security may actually increase your income so that you're paying more Medicare premiums like we talked about earlier. So starting to see how all these things kind of interrelate. And then the last planning around Social Security is if you have a Roth conversion strategy, turning on Social Security early may actually interfere with a Roth conversion strategy. Meaning if you have a whole lot of money pre-tax in IRAs and 401ks, and you have an idea of moving some of that money to Roth IRAs in those early years in retirement, you may want to consider delaying Social Security so that you have a bigger opening, your bigger window to be able to convert more money from IRA to Roth. All right, here we go. The fifth one. The fifth do you have a budget? Yeah, it may be a 4-letter word in your household, but trust me, if you don't plan to have a budget in retirement, you're going to have a lot of other 4-letter words in your life because of it. So here's a spending by category chart that I kind of like that'll kind of get us kicked off, where we can look at housing should be maybe around 1/3, transportation about 15%, and then healthcare, food, utilities. So maybe take a look at this or do a little bit of homework on what a typical budget looks like for folks in retirement and make sure you have the details ironed out here. Hey, the truth is this is kind of boring, right? Doing a budget, but trust me, there's no magic pill. This is important. Sharpen your pencil, get it done. So there you are, 5 do-yous to greenlight your retirement. Retirement is looking like a downhill ride. But do me a favor, don't take your hands off the handlebars. We want to make sure you get all the way down nice and safe. Thanks for watching.